Good evening. Welcome everyone to the regular meeting for the Area Planning Commission, Fayette County. If everyone would please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. I'd like to ask everyone to please silence your phones if you haven't already. Moving down the agenda, we have roll call.
Tim Sparks.
Present.
Darren Price.
Here.
Bill Free.
Present.
Dale Munson.
Present.
Gary Nadler.
Present.
Robert Stewart is absent. Brian Robb.
Here.
Bill Mackey. Darrell Drew.
Here.
Bill McDaniel.
Present.
Jeff Wessling. He's not here tonight? Nope. And then myself.
Okay, we do have a quorum, so we'll proceed on with the meeting. We have minutes that have been presented in front of you for the July 25th meeting. The August 22nd meeting, the only thing that, if you'll notice that Darren Price was the one that chaired that meeting, not myself, so that change needs to be made. And the September 26th meeting, both the August 22nd and September 26th, we did not have a quorum, so there were not any business transacted those evenings. So I'll entertain a motion to approve all the minutes as presented.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that we approve the minutes with the changes that are presented. Any questions or comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. All right. Then we have the Solar Energy Committee here tonight. We have a couple of things on the agenda tonight, so we're going to quickly kind of open up the proposal that the committee has presented to us tonight. And I think we got Tim and Nick are going to kind of talk a little bit about it. So we'll let you two have the floor.
Where do you want us to start?
At the
You need to tell me who you are.
I'm Nick Thomas.
I'm Tim Barraclough. Gravity Challenge.
Thank you.
We were a very eclectic group. Most of us were north of 44. We started meeting January, December, somewhere in there. Did a lot of the typical small talk, and then we got a hold of Madison County's ordinance, and we tweaked it to fit what we thought we could live with as a committee and what would benefit the most people of the county. And so I don't know if you have a copy of that, but that is a very highlight estimate of what the ordinance has in front of you. There's a whole lot more details in the ordinance, but ultimately, no one on the committee was comfortable with a full-blown solar farm. But we by no means wanted to prohibit small solar fields or solar arrays for companies, corporations,
Corporations.
people, private people. And so we had the three different, we didn't even want to have an SES 3. which SES stands for Solar Energy System. So SES 3 goes up to 400. We knew that that was probably going to come back to us or was not going to fly, that we didn't have any 400s. But we also utilized the CAFO criteria for a lot of setbacks, and
We're trying to mirror, we weren't trying to recreate the wheel on what you folks had already set up.
but we realized CAFOs and solar energy is, the other thing is, it's not just like solar panels. We don't know what solar energy is going to be like in the future. It may be mirrors and boiling water with concentrated sunlight. It may be lenses. It may be, we don't know. So we tried to be as broad as possible, but we focused on solar panels, and there is electrical generation, which may need to be renovated, updated, because we may get a heck of a lot more efficient, and we can generate more megawatts per acre without any damage. So the SES1 is typical, like a homeowner or a small business up on a Christie's Dentistry, something like that. We didn't feel there was any need for a fence or buffer, like a tree or bushes or things like that, until you get into something that's larger, which is the up to 10 acres. The 100-foot from property line for setback and separation, we thought that was adequate for both separating from other obstacles as well as setback from property. And we tried to give adjoining landowners the right to disagree, but the right also to not agree. Or to agree with, you know, I'm okay with your putting panels here and within the height of any other structure that the ordinances currently have. The only difference with the 10 acre is that fence is required, and mainly if I have that much money in solar panels, I want to fence it in to keep vandalism and whatnot out of it anyway. But we said specifically chain link with a 6 foot minimum. We didn't get into road requirements like the Madison County got into some road requirements and things like that. We feel that if you're going to put that much money into the facility, you're going to want to be able to have roads to service anyway. We did have, especially in the 10 to 400 acres, we did have some EMS, not EMS, but fire and emergency protocols.
Requirements for, who to get a hold of 24 hours a day, stuff like that.
Yeah. But really, those are the highlights. We wanted to protect property values. We started out with all kinds of, we really wanted to be restrictive, but it boils down to, we are a farming community and we are harvesting energy, and it matches, but at the same time, we also need ground. So we had a lot of discussion on how tall and whether or not you had, and it was like, and there was very candid discussion of, well, why are you allowed to have 10-foot corn right up to the fence row, but I can't have a 10-foot solar panel up to the fence row? Why are you allowed to have your silos, your grain bins running 2 months out of the year, nonstop, but I can't have a silent solar panel? And there was a lot of give and take throughout the whole time, and there was agree to disagrees, and we walked out every meeting and nobody had any disagreement with each other. Okay, I'm willing to give on this, if you're willing to give on that, we think it's fair. So we were real happy with the way things came out.
Tim has solar panels, personally.
And I am one of the two, I think, that was south of 44.
Right.
Yeah.
But the main well, I don't want to have to look out my window and see solar panels. Well, if you're south of 44, you don't get to look very far because we aren't flat. So the whole distance and separation if I'm on the south side of the county and I've got a south-facing hillside, I may own the other side of the valley, so why can't I? If it's only 400 or 300 feet, why can't I? And so there was a lot of conversation about that, but we came to a real good agreement on, or I don't know what the word is.
We got along better than I thought we would get along, the whole
Yeah.
group of us. A couple of you were present for most of the meetings, and I felt like we did a good job of respecting each other and talking it out loud, and,
We got a lot of good compromise, that's what I was.
yeah.
And we tried to think of every possible scenario and include as much detail as we thought needed.
So Madison County is
Anderson?
Anderson. This is, a lot of this, probably 90% of it is their current policy or ordinance. So we've just kind of tried or attempted to massage it with the vocabulary that our county is used to using, terminology and all that stuff.
Yeah, we had Ag 1, Ag 2, Ag 3, and we wanted to protect Ag 1 as much as possible, which would be somewhere the SES 3, the 10 to 400 acres, as far as the flat ground and things like that. The other thing is that we kind of landed on the 10 acres because walked into the meeting and said, hey, if you're not really sure what 10 acres is, the Kmart square is, I think, 13 acres. The hospital and the middle school is like a little over 8. And then I had a third example of what a 10-acre square approximately is. And you think, wow, 10 acres is a lot. Not really. And so when you have to put a setback and you have to really restrict that, then you have somebody like either the old WCI building or the Viscon building or the Keener building or something like that that's inside the city limits. Now all of a sudden you're really restricted because you've got that 100-foot setback or the 400-foot setback and all kinds of rules and things like that. So we didn't think it was fair for those kinds of possible solar fields.
We had a speaker come in, someone that is today in Shelby County. His family farm had signed a long-term lease to have solar panels put on their farm. We had him come in and speak about, you know, we all would assume there are positives to it, right? Well, this gentleman had a really poor experience, and their family had tried 3 times legally to get out of their lease. And it kind of opened our eyes to the other side of it. And he was I enjoyed listening to him. I thought he was a good resource to have some real experience locally. And he would come and speak to all of you if you wanted to hear him and hear his experience with an existing farm.
Both the 2 and 3, a lot of their requirements are very similar in the details, especially one concern was we don't want them selling topsoil. Well, the soil has to be returned to original soil sample specifications. Now, where we don't have control and not really you guys have control is who's going to enforce, who's going to regulate, who's going to make sure that this is followed. And that's where sometimes we said it would be the director and other times we said it would be you guys. Because we didn't want to micromanage everything, but at the same time, we didn't want to have one person have that freedom to void what we thought was fairly important restrictions.
We put some property value guarantees in there. So if you're let's say this happens and they get to put a large solar panel farm somewhere and you're opposing it and you're a homeowner who lives across from that, we wanted them to have some guarantees in there for their property value. So in there's some wording for, you know, the owner gets to have a property value assessment, the solar panel company gets to have it, and it's got to get recorded so that it's public knowledge, that information is, so everybody can see it. So we all felt like that was a good thing for everybody involved to have some skin in the game. If they think this is that wonderful a deal, they need to have some skin in it. So.
Any questions that you guys have of us?
I know it's a long document, probably a lot longer than what we were used to.
And it was longer than the one I think you guys gave us to start with for Fayette County.
Yeah.
I think we took quite a bit of, I don't know, how many, do you think we took some out of it?
Yeah, we took 5 pages.
5 pages out of it, so we tried to make it shorter. So, some of it, and that's what we probably need a little guidance, because the vocabulary and terminology that the county uses compared to them just may not apply.
You said you took a lot of this from the Andersons,
Madison County.
Madison County. Did you have anybody from Madison County touch base, talk with you as to pros and cons, or ups and downs, or anything? Okay.
Just an attorney from up in that community, probably one of
Okay.
those folks.
Yeah, their document was pretty self-explanatory, so, but they have a whole lot, I mean, they're all flat, they've got a
Right.
whole lot more municipal areas and things like that, so they had a lot of more details that we didn't, it just
Didn't
work
have
for
to
us.
have, okay.
I remember some of our discussion on the three SES 3 setbacks and comparing that to the CAFO. I think we talked about, okay, we're gonna have this commercial farm, but yet we can still have acres, valuable acres that can be row cropped
Yeah, within the setback.
within that setback, and I think that was one of the discussions of the setbacks. Well, that would preserve some of our farm ground and still allow a commercial operation to be in there.
Yeah, I think Madison County may have just said, there
200
was nothing that could be in the setback. In fact, your fence had to be at the edge of the setback, so you had all this property surrounding your field that was essentially worthless to you. So not only did you lose farm ground, you also lost utilization of your property that you had already. There is also in the SES 3, if there's a road, we specifically said road, or we specifically said property boundary. And they were included drainage ditches and tiling. That was all accounted for and discussed, so.
Most of you may not know, but like if you put in what they call pattern tile drainage in a field, is it $1,500 an acre?
Yeah, roughly.
It costs the grower $1,500 an acre. That's a lot of investment in that. So they are very concerned about those panels affecting their investment, right? So there's.
Or boring for electrical wires
Right.
that may or may not have to be underground.
Yeah, so there's parts of this in there for a drainage board to have teeth in it and a surety bond that would basically make the solar panel company cover those damages for the lifetime of the investment or their contract. Part of why we wanted to limit the time was listening to the young man that came and talked to us about his family experience, about how they basically have found they cannot get out of their lease, no matter what they want. There's no way for them to stop it. And we kind of felt like that was, we didn't want anybody taken advantage of by a New York lawyer, right? Because that can happen quite a bit. We're fairly trusting people, in our community, and we don't want them taken advantage of.
Are there any questions tonight?
You said earlier that they have to put topsoil back to original. Is there anything to keep them from hauling it off at the very beginning?
I don't remember that
They're
answer.
gonna do it every time automatically. Am I allowed to talk?
They're gonna obviously want to change
They want it leveled.
the level floor, but I believe in the SES 3, it does talk about removal of topsoil and how that's happening.
I kind of think we're not there. I think we said they weren't allowed to, I think.
That was one of the last things we did.
Allowed to remove it, they could pile it.
Yeah,
They might be able to pile it.
When it's over,
Yeah.
but they aren't allowed to remove it from, if they take off some to level, if they have to keep it somewhere there to put back when it's over.
There's requirements in there for noise, runoff, water, like water monitoring. So like if you're an adjoining property owner and you have a well, which most of the people out there are gonna have drinking wells, they gotta, monitor that well so there's no contaminants coming off of those panels and getting in and ruin the town of Glenwood drinking water. We use the town of Glenwood often as an example. They have enough trouble with their drinking water out there anyway. We don't need about 2,000 acres of panels around there to pollute their water, right? So, but we wanted the town of Glenwood or the town of Bentonville to be able to have their own small municipal solar panel systems. So that's part of why we made the categories the way we made the categories.
Any other questions tonight?
Gary, can I ask a question?
Hmm?
Can I ask them a question?
No. After the meeting you can.
I have gathered a letter, so I know this is about Rush County, but Rush County has gotten a letter from Hoosier Solar recently confirming and allowing them to release their land that has been in the solar panel by committed to leases. And we are catching wind that some of the other Fayette County landowners that had contracts have been released from their obligations. So I wanted to present that to everybody to kind of give you the most current update information.
I'll put that in the minutes.
I got another question.
Okay.
On the 400 acres maximum,
Can you keep this?
Yes, ma'am.
is that per owner? Can an owner have 400 acres of solar here, move to another section of his own property and have another, or is that strictly one landowner?
They gotta be 3 miles apart.
3 miles apart,
Okay.
400 acres.
Doesn't matter if you own them or if, they gotta be three miles in between. Why we did that was to preserve farm ground, to preserve the community feel that we have. Part of it I feel personally about, I'm concerned about, most of our landowners in the county are elderly and can be taken advantage of, can be manipulated very easily. And I just don't want to see that happen to them. So.
Okay. All right. Anything else tonight? Okay, what I think we're gonna do is have a formal, a detailed discussion on this next month. Because we do have some other items on the agenda tonight, and the BZA does have a public hearing as well tonight. So I'd like to move on. I'd like to take this time to really thank the committee. All of them put a lot of effort into it and a lot of work, and it really didn't go the direction I thought it was going to go, and
Yeah.
but it ended up in a good place. Those guys put a lot of time and effort into building this ordinance, and I greatly appreciate that. And there was a lot of, as they said, a lot of discussion and sometimes difference of opinions were quite loud some evenings, but we all left on good terms. We all come back to the table and said, "Here, let's find a happy medium," and that they did. I think it's a really good ordinance, and I would encourage you to take this next month and totally read through it and make notes on it, and maybe some of them or all of them can be back next month and help us with the discussion as well.
If you have any particular question, you can go through Gary and he can
Get to all of us.
distribute.
I
will say that we hustled because February is when the moratorium's up.
Yeah.
So, time is of the essence.
Yeah,
It shows the value of this meeting, that these guys could take that many people and get along and lead meetings, on opposite sides and still be happy.
Yeah,
We were probably a 40-year span, 30-year span at least, of the different ages.
Yeah.
that were in the room.
yeah, and that was a good thing, and it wasn't all ag.
Ouch.
There's that much age difference right there.
It was very productive, and what I started out hoping that it was gonna be an hour a month, we were probably 2 to 3 hours a month, in meetings, and it wasn't because they didn't wanna be there, cause they were very, very enthused and very much wanted to work on it, and, I think I've convinced some of them to get into public service now, so.
No.
Write-in candidates.
Gary, can we get a copy of that letter that you presented to her tonight in our minutes?
Yep.
Thank you.
It's basically, the Rush County themselves owns some farm ground. They were going to put panels on that in particular farm ground. That's Hoosier Solar saying, we're pulling back, we don't want to. And we also have some Fayette County. I haven't seen the letter, but we have been told they have all received the same letter.
I think that's interesting to look at.
Thank you. Bill, can you send that out to
Yeah.
all the board members? A copy of that. Okay. Thank you again, very much, for all the work you've done on it. And then we'll get back to it next month in detail.
When will that next meeting be then?
The Thursday before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So it's the third Thursday of that month, because of course the 4th is always Thanksgiving. Okay, and it's the same thing we also do for Christmas, is the December meeting is also the third Thursday of December because of the holiday.
Our,
Unless people want to go to a meeting on Thanksgiving. No,
our goal,
hard pass.
our goal is to have a public hearing the December meeting, or sometime between the November meeting and the December meeting if we have to have a special meeting. So out there, those that are here, those that are watching, if you'd like to have a copy of it, feel free to get it from the Area Planning Commission office. He can probably send it to you electronically.
I can send it electronically, and anybody who's watching, contact me, and I can email people the copies of it.
So,
And what I will give everybody a copy of is gonna be the original, this ordinance, your proposed ordinance, and then also the moratorium. So, but, Darrell, I do have a question. Is that, it was suggested that we probably want to have a different venue. Okay, so what there might be available and what times, basically between after Thanksgiving and then the first couple weeks of December.
We'll make something work. I mean, let's put some dates together.
Yeah.
And give me 2 or 3 to look at, and we'll make those work.
Yeah.
okay.
Yep, and,
Or
Because I
possibly
know
we could
that-
go to Miller Building too.
yeah,
Couldn't we?
yeah. Main problem with the Miller Building is
Is
it's,
PA.
yep. Has to have,
Yeah,
They're hard to transcribe because of I don't know what it is, but
yeah, there's too much echo in there. Okay, all right, we'll move on. We have the parking regulation that we've been trying to get through for the last several months, and haven't quite got there yet. Bill, do you have things that you want to add to it, or
no, I really don't have anything to add to it.
what
Okay.
you passed out?
No.
Okay.
It's just that, well, one thing in particular is as I've been spending, after this, with some of the comments from board members and then also with the county commissioners and some city council members, is that it's, I've been taking more stock and then noticing some of the concerns were really with Okay, the carryover from the existing one, as far as the work vehicles, I think that really needs to, there needs to be some changes with that, and no, really not restricting it. But as long as someone either lives there, or it's their business, or they work for someone, they can, park those vehicles at home. And of course, since 1993 is the number of vehicles some households have. So I think what we had with some of the other ones, as far as the storage of registered vehicles, may need some changes and tweaking. The other one there's a lot of questions about were, particularly in the city, because I know Brian brought it up way back, was some of the places in the city with the people parking the semis, on property and in the streets. Dale Strong had an issue with, having really a lot of restrictions on it because, well, particularly out in the county, but because it kind of reflects it's a completely different economy than 40 years ago, 30 years ago. So that's one of the things also, is because particularly the explosion in the number of driver owners. So there's some of the things like that in the vehicle storage requirements. So I think there's some things, I tried to tweak those and took those into consideration with some of Dale Strong's comments. And, let's see.
So the highlights are what you changed?
Yeah, those are some other things with the, things I changed and things to actually look at, a little more
Or
closely.
should be looked at?
Yeah, and as with in the past, is the things I have that are italicized are my comments. Yeah, and there were some things that were redundant with some of the numbers, so I took care of those also. With it wasn't consistent both in the table and then in the document, in the text. For example, is the apartments was one of them. So has everybody had a chance to really look closely at this well, it's been a few months, so I don't know.
It's
So,
a much cleaner and much,
Yeah.
a lot of efforts went into it,
Yeah.
so thank you, Bill, for
Yeah,
cleaning
so
it
there
up.
may be some things in there that really we can still stand to change. And that's kind of like where I'd, really like the guidance from the plan commission. And, because a lot of this is still some of the same language from the existing.
So, Bill, when
Yeah.
you were talking about commercial vehicles and work vehicles and whatnot,
Which page is that?
I think on page 2
Yeah.
is where you were referring to.
Yeah.
Well, down here you've got semi-trailers may not be stored on any residential property. That's residentially zoned
Yeah.
property, isn't it?
Or residentially used, it'd be up to the,
I mean, if you have a residence out in the county, most of those are still A1 or A2
Yeah.
zone. So you're not referring to them, are you?
no, it should be the residential zoning.
Zoning, okay, all right. And that's what, because that puts the restrictions here in town, more
Yeah.
or less, I mean, for the most part. Or subdivisions, right? Okay.
Yeah, and as someone pointed out, the important part with that, the language on the semi-trucks, but it isn't fair to then give the, school buses on private property a pass, but not these.
Bill, I have a question about the
Sure.
semi-trailers also. Does that include the Connex boxes to where basically the semi-trailers without axles, wheels, and tires?
The storage. or
Storage.
The container
Uses-
units.
Yes, the containers.
Yeah,
Because
it's,
that is technically a semi-trailer.
yeah, it's
Thank
the, because right now it's, because I know there's a lot of use, different places, and a lot of other jurisdictions are struggling to get around on the use of those for storage. This week, yesterday I think it was, and there's an article I came across that of course, another one you're actually seeing is conversion of those into dwellings.
Yes.
So of course, there's, things that have to happen to become a dwelling, so. But, yeah,
But I think this pertains to wheels and axles.
Well, I do too,
Yeah.
but it's
Well-
not very specific.
yeah. But
That was my question.
Okay.
but one of the ones with, as you referred to right there, is I think that's something that we need to add into, after I get someone in place and start getting someone trained, is the adding that into the accessory use section.
Yes.
Because I think that's, because there's so many things in the accessory uses, I think that should be my,
And
really, once we get past this and the,
they vary drastically in size too.
yeah, and it's because you really don't, because it's on a residential property. Oh my God, you really need a full size to store things. If you need to have that much stuff you need to store, have a bonfire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that way you get your errors, you do them a favor by not having all that stuff. But,
Okay.
okay. But we did increase the, things with the recreational vehicles. Okay, let's see.
Does anyone see anything else that needs to be addressed in it tonight?
Yeah. Because if we do have if you want me to set it up and get this together for a hearing at the Thursday, at the Thanksgiving meeting, the November meeting, I can do that. And so if anything that the Plan Commission members see that it's like, whoa, hold on, let's make another change, something else needs to change, we can always do it at that hearing
At
also.
the hearing, yeah.
Yeah, because, the city council and then also the commissioners also have the, of course, also amend.
Okay. I would entertain a motion to request this to go to public hearing in November then.
So moved.
Motion made, is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded that we proceed with a public hearing in November for the parking ordinance as presented to us tonight, with a few little
Yep.
word changes in it.
And in the meantime is, if any of you come across something that you didn't catch here, or you've got some questions about, or you haven't, something gives you a little bit of heartburn because of it's present or it isn't present, just let me know directly. And if you email me, please email everybody else on the Plan Commission and Jeff with those comments also, comments and suggestions.
Any other discussions or questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right,
Okay,
that'll be going to public hearing then next month.
okay, so,
Thank you, Tim.
Okay.
okay. All right, now the main thing right here is expiring APC and BZA citizen appointments. I spoke with Tim briefly before the meeting. He was appointed to fill the last part of Brian Durham's appointment. It's a 4-year appointment. When someone quits, they do it for the rest of that appointment. Because the way it's set up is your citizen appointments, because you want one expiring each year. So you don't want a bunch that you're replacing at one time, so you get some continuity. So there's Tim and also Gary. And if,
I thought I was next year.
no, it's the end of this year.
Is it?
Yeah. But just go ahead and let
That makes me smile even more.
well, if you don't want to be on it, so if you want to be on it, or you're interested in getting off, you've had enough, or you still want to retain, stay on it, let them know either way, as soon as possible.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, so in the meantime, if there are people that might be interested in the city, it's gonna depend upon whether. I personally would appreciate it if you both stay on. You're both good members of the Plan Commission. So, I'm not trying to butter you up. That is an honest opinion. That is an honest opinion. So but in the meantime is, just in case Mr. Sparks or Mr. Naylor decide that they're no longer interested, okay, one is gonna be a mayor's appointment, someone who lives in the city of Connersville for the Plan Commission. Then Gary's is for the county council, that's out, it's a county council appointment, so someone would need to let the county council know. Now then, for the BZA, I guess the mayor's had trouble getting somebody to, getting people interested in the BZA. And I can understand what it is with people, but we really need someone from the city on that. And then Carrie Steele's expires. I don't know if Carrie is, because in the past, Carrie has indicated that this would be her last term, so I don't know if that's still the case. But then there will be a county appointment for someone who lives out in the county for the BZA, and someone who lives in the city for the, also for the BZA. So that's it with that, and then just the rest of the director's report.
Any questions on the director's report? Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion made and seconded to accept the director's report as presented. Any questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, that takes care of that. Is there anything else that needs to be brought before the board tonight?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Didn't waste any time there.
I got a meeting tonight.
You haven't been here to do that.
There's a motion made, is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion made and seconded for adjournment. Any questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
This is the October Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. We do not have a quorum to handle the meeting. So at this time, we will close and wait till next month.
Yep, it'll be yep.
Yep, November 21st.